Well, good Sunday morning, everybody, and welcome to this week's Community Focus. We are fresh off of primary part two, which was not something any of us expected, but here we are. So joining me this morning to react to that second primary is Colin Flanagan, who ran against Nancy Larson. Thank you for joining me this morning.
Yes, of course. Always happy to be here.
Thank you. I appreciate it. So give me an idea of what your reaction was to the campaign you ran and all the other races in our area.
Certainly very proud of the campaign that I ran. I know that we went out and did things the right way. We talked to people at their front door, met them where they were, listened to their concerns, and those were our priorities moving forward. Unfortunately, things didn't shape out the way they did. I think it was sort of a perfect storm of different reasons that I won't bother to get into, but I'm looking forward to supporting Nancy as we move forward. And as far as the other races around the area, Um, I wasn't too surprised by any of the results that came out, but some of the margins I think were a little more shocking to me.
And just to remind people, what was the district that you ran in?
I ran in House District 41, which was drawn from the eastern portion of Lucas County, from the shores of Reno Beach, all the way to North Berkey or North Lucas Fulton Road out in Richfield Township.
And what were some of the challenges that came with running in a district like that, where you're having to go out and speak to just a variety of different type of people that have different types of concerns?
Well, to meet this moment, gas prices, right?
Right.
To drive from all the way out there in Reno Beach all the way out to Berkey probably takes a good hour and 20 minutes. Not that I was doing that every day, going from one end of the district to the other, but I think that was the biggest challenge. You know, people are people around the county, and so trying to represent them, I don't think would be difficult, but certainly traveling across the district, especially in an area that's so dense. Toledo should not have a district that spans that many miles to travel across. It certainly should not have a district that long and skinny. It's not natural. It doesn't fit the community's needs.
And the turnout for this primary election was just, it wasn't surprising that it was low, but it definitely is raising concern that a lot of people who should have had a say in this primary didn't get to make their voice heard. And now we're heading into November, which is, less than 100 days away. So what do you think what Democrats are going to have to do here in the area to get more turnout there?
So I'll start with this one good thing, one silver lining from all of this is that people actually paid attention. Not the number of people who should have paid attention, and it's not their fault either because nobody ever has elections in August, or very rarely in the state of Ohio. But those people who came out and voted typically had a good idea of who their state representative, state senator were going to be. And that's not something that normally happens. Normally, people are focused on the top of the ticket. People like Mike DeWine, Nan Whaley, everybody pretty much knows who they are. If we had our primary election in May, people might not have known who Colin Flanagan or Nancy Larson was. And so I think that proved to be somewhat of an advantage. Well, maybe not for me, but for the general public, they have a good idea. And Democrats actually did get to choose. That said, I think it is unfortunate that we spent $20 million just to have the second election. If you factor in redistricting fees and court costs, that number winds up somewhere around $37 million that was unnecessarily spent by the state. Think of what $37 million could do in Toledo or could do in Youngstown or Akron. And so that money, just politicians basically just wasting our dollars to get these unfair, rigged, quite literally declared illegal maps. And we're going to have to do it all again next year.
One angle to this, is the side of the people that were running for office, how unfair this was to them, who, were struggling just to get their name out there. But now to have voters come back out in August, not knowing really who they're voting for is a real challenge. And I do want to note, I did reach out to both of the candidates that won in the 43rd House District race. And I know they're fairly busy, but hopefully I can also get them on the show to talk about that angle of this. But there were a lot of strong campaigns that were run across across this area, and both parties did a really great job in getting their message out there. So, what do you think November holds? What's that going to look like locally and on the state level?
So I'll start locally. Lucas County is for the first time, has a chance to elect 4 Democratic representatives. This will be for the first time since 1988, and it's only happened, I want to say, 2 or 3 times since Ohio had to move to some districts stemming from a Supreme Court decision in the 1960s. So Lucas County can go 4 Democratic seats out of 4 Democratic seats, and I think that I speak for all Democrats in this county when I say we're not just going to sit around our hands this time out. We're going to go out and do the work. We're going to be positive voices for change, and we're going to make sure that you actually will do better in Toledo, and should you elect us, I suppose. Now, hope that's true if the Republicans or one or both of them who can win have a shot at it. I mean, the deal here is Michelle Grimm in the 43rd district likely will be a representative. Elgin Rogers likely will be a representative. And Nancy Larson and Erica White stand a very, very good shot at it. And the goal for Democrats is going to be to work our tails off to make sure that we both get them in. On the state level, I think it's the same case. We saw in Kansas on Tuesday night as well. They had a referendum on abortion rights, whether or not the state constitution had a right to abortion in it. And women and pro-choice voices across the state came out and made their choice known in an August election, nonetheless. That Kansas is a pro-choice state, and I hope that momentum can carry us Democrats into November.
Well, it's going to be interesting seeing how things are going to shape up for both parties and really even nationally. But I really want to put the emphasis on those local races because a lot of people tend to forget about just how important they are. These races could arguably be even more important than those presidential and bigger races that we tend to get more attention on. So, Colin Flanagan, who again ran during this primary election, thank you so much for your time.